Welcome.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday. Thank you for joining us on today. Whether you come in person, whether you show up online, you are always welcome. Today we're going to have a conversation about the law of correspondence. But before we go into the law of correspondence, we're going to just open up with a little drumming, just kind of get us in tune and flowing in spirit. I was doing sound bowls bath this morning, and it really lifted and lightened my weight. And in the process of that, it's just thinking the transition from the sound bowls to the drums. And so I feel like the sound bowls kind of went to the heart and into the crown and throughout the thoughts, and the drums kind of come back to the root sacral of it all, ground that's back in. So I'm going to ground a little bit. We're going to move forward and have Master Chef Oka offer prayer and do the libation for us this morning.
Yes.
And if you are home, and would like to participate with us, feel free to pull your libations and to get your sacrament prepared for later when we do the communion.
All right. Making sure that we also just share this on our different platforms of social media. And as we settle into this moment, I will do it with 3 invocation breaths. Settle into the now, simply by taking a deep breath in through the nose and releasing out through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose. Slowly releasing out through the mouth. One more deep breath in through the nose. Slowly releasing out through the mouth. We find ourselves centered into ourselves, giving thanks for this moment in time and place and space to come together as one in one, experiencing one. Giving thanks to all forms of our higher self, this experience. Source energy, Mother, Father, God. The Pautnet Huru, the Orishas, the Ifa, Ascended Masters, angels, archangels, deities, benevolent ancestors, and spirit guides, all assisting us on this journey. Wholeness and remembrance. And with this, we simply give thanks to Ashe. And as we continue to hold the space of the portal being open, we also want to acknowledge those who have gone before us, those ancestors that we now unite the heaven and the earth with the pouring of the libation, the water into the soil. And you can't because it's dirty. All right, and as we pour the water into the earth, symbolize the spirit of the earth that connects between heaven and earth, you are free to call up names of your ancestors that have walked as we honor and acknowledge them at this moment, time and place and space.
Mary Jones,
Ache,
Mary Elizabeth,
Ache,
Rose Porter,
Ache,
Edward Porter,
Ache,
Conrad Jones,
Ache,
Herbert Jones,
Ache,
Louis Jones,
Ache, Ache, Laura Hall, Bertha Tucker, Don Tucker, Mary Wallace, Ache, Ache, and all those names and that name, we give thanks. Ache, Ache, and Acheo.
Asheo,
Give thanks.
what do we have one last today?
No one has chimed in as of yet. Someone is viewing, but no one has chimed in as of yet.
Today's conversation, we're talking about the law of correspondence. In the scriptures it says, whatsoever is loose on earth is loosed in heaven, and whatsoever is bound on earth is bound in heaven. And I look at that scripture, speaking to us that we are in constant connection with the all. And as we move, as we create to one another, it all comes back to the creation of the all. So a lot of our experiences may be something we created in one space, and it comes back to us in this space. So we create some things in one realm, and then we get the effects of that in this realm. And what we do to one another, we are actually doing to ourselves. We experience the experience that we give to someone else. So a lot of times when we're experiencing displeasure, there's a good chance that we have sent out that displeasure and it's coming back to us in one form or another. Or it's something that because of our connections to ourselves, with maybe within our parents or within our siblings or whatever. Their reactions with us being connected to them come back and have an effect on us. And it doesn't just necessarily have to be displeasure. The same thing goes with pleasurable things, goes with preferred things. Our connections just keep continuously bringing us back to ourselves and ourselves outside of ourselves and all of our experiences. I was sitting this strong with the fact that everything is alive. Because in order for anything to exist, it has to have the cells and all of the electrons and all of those things moving for this skin on this drum to be made manifest. There's a whole bunch of living going on to have this be here. Whether we look at a piece of string, whether we look at anything, everything is alive and moving and living. And so in it doing so, it has cause and effect. Maybe cutting down the tree to get to the wood for the base of this drum, moved in the space of the human impact upon it, the tree falling as a result of the human's impact upon it, and whatever it used to bring the tree down, that chainsaw, and the energy and the movement of that. It's just the whole vast idea of all of the connectedness to the main all, the one. There's no separation. Any thoughts, anything? Topic for you today, Master Shah?
Well, yes. Affirmative. Yeah, this series is one that really resonates, hits home, as they say. And just to share two popular sayings, phrases, cliches that most people have heard of, that also, from my perspective, is in alignment with this law of correspondence, is one, the law of attraction, and two, karma. The law of attraction, most people are familiar with it even without it, just the saying the law of attraction. But there's a law about attraction, how we attract things. And that law, from my person's, again, perspective and its philosophy and beliefs and what it holds to be a truism, is that that law is based upon the law of correspondence. Because it simply states that we attract what it is that we're vibrating at. Whatever the thought, generally speaking, is a thought or an idea, an image, whatever it is, we would even go as far as say emotional. Because one of the caveats to this law of attraction is that have the vibration as though you already possess or have the thing, as though you're already where you want to be. You hold the vibration, this joy for having this thing, this joy, coming the second chakra, the sacral chakra, deals with joy and creation. So we hold this joy for what it is we have, we want, the vision board, whatever it is. The law of attraction said it will come to us. And also with this caveat, the law of attraction, again, whether we are intentional or unintentional, those things that we become emotional about, our energy and motion, the more emotional about we're about the thoughts that come in to our field of awareness. Then this law of attraction says the more we'll attract that. And again, sometimes we're thinking about things, especially today in society, how things may be not as ideal as some of us would like them to be. And as we are observing these scenarios, these experiences, and sometimes having them by ourselves, these experiences of how things are not like we would like them to be our ideal situation. If we, the more that we repeat or think about these things not being ideal and have the vibration that these things are not ideal, like, oh man, so much going on, or this again, this law says that we will continue to create more of that. And again, if not if not understood, say like gravity. Without explaining gravity, if you drop something, it'll fall and hit the ground. So without explaining this law, most of us have these experiences where we experience something, and one of the first things we will do is says, it's because of them. It's because of them. They did this. Because they're doing this, my person feels this way. Because they did this, my person feels this way. You know, it could be something that right in front of you, an experience is right here, tangible, or it could be something more esoteric, something on the news, or something you heard about, something around the world, you know, oh, they did it around the world. And so again, and we will bring that to us. Again, my person holds this as, again, the foundation of the law of correspondence. As above, so below, and more specifically with this, so within, so without. As above, so below, so within, so without. Same thing with it, we call that karma. And my person sees karma is, a lot of times we want to say it's something that's, the experience is unpleasant. Oh, they got bad karma. Or that's your karma coming back to you. Well, again, just like law of attraction, which people tend to think more is more for good. Oh, the law of attraction, we attracted this. Oh, you got that karma. Other times, people may look at them as two separate or opposites. However, from a certain perspective, in reality, they're talking about the same thing. The vibration, whatever karma says, the essence of karma, whatever vibration that we send out, that vibration will come back for us to experience it. And from a more esoteric perspective, some of us like to hold the space that we are gods walking the earth. You know, while some people may be devils walking the earth. Either way, as a God walking the earth, let's just take this for example. As a God walking the earth, the reason why God is walking the earth so that God can experience God's creation. Because the God does not walk on the earth, the creator God, mother, father God, source energy. The theory is it is unable to experience itself as it is. So it creates a vehicle to put itself in the vehicle. And once it puts itself in the vehicle, as in this incarnation, the spirit coming into the body, it puts itself in this vehicle. Say 9 billion times, at least on this planet, right? 9 billion expressions of it, to experience itself in an infinite number of ways. Let's think about it, 9 billion. You can get some infinite ways to experience yourself. You know, if you want thing to go to 9 billion different things. So in order to experience yourself, it is set up so that whatever vibration we send out, we're going to experience that vibration. Otherwise, how do we know what that vibration feels like? Again, law of correspondence. Whatever we send out, we will come back, whether intentional or unintentional, whether on accident or on purpose. The more things that we think about and have, the longer we think about things and have emotions to go with them, attention, again, these things simply manifest. That's what my person looks at, the law of correspondence. All of our experiences, everything that we experience is us experiencing ourselves. Somewhere within us, we chose to send this out so that we can experience this for whatever reason that may be. So that's my person's overall take on law of correspondence.
Like I think about scientifically, how anything being observed begins to behave differently simply because it is being observed. So the correspondence is this, that I paid attention to it, and now the energy of it will perform because I paid attention to it. And so whatever you're giving the most attention to, that is the performance that you get to observe. That is the experience that you get to have. And so if your attention is on, oh, this isn't right, this isn't pleasurable, this isn't that is what you continue to create. And what is it that you truly want to experience? What is it that you truly want to partake in? Then direct your energies to that which you want to partake in. I am in this strong sitting with spirit, just realizing how abundantly blessed I am and how abundantly blessed my life has been. I've had a plethora of experiences. I've been in the areas where they would be the well-to-do, and I've been in the spaces where people seemingly was just covered in lack. But as I sit and even think about the times that I spent with people who were in lack, as the outer world would perceive it, all of the joy and all of the life and fun and engagement that came in that time period is so beneficial, and it's part of the total experience. But those experiences gave me a comparison and contrast when I was in the areas where the people were more fluent, where they had more things coming. Ironically, a lot of times the peoples with the most material things had a lot of inner turmoil, wasn't necessarily happy, wasn't content. There was always the need. I have all of this money, but I need more money. And so the energy became getting more money. And they would achieve that goal of getting more money because that's where they put their energy to. But getting the money didn't bring them peace, didn't give them resolve. So it becomes another in the quest to obtain more things. Meanwhile, I might be over in Potomac Gardens outside playing, and where people felt like, oh, I don't have all of these material things, but there was family, there was community, there was love, there was fun, there was one looking out for another. It was never something just unimaginable that somebody might show up and say, hey, I had some greens and I got a bunch of greens. Here's some greens for you. Oh, I was just getting ready to come to you. I had some yams. Here, here's some yams. That sense of community, bringing together what you have and making it work for the greater good. It's much more conducive to being able to enjoy your experience than it is when you're just solely out for stuff, when you're just solely trying to make and create stuff. And that's not to say that anyone is right or wrong in their choices, because we all have the free will to choose. But in that free will, we create whatever experiences that we create. And it's just a matter of what it is that you want, you know. And if you're not getting what you were hoping for, if you're not getting what you were looking for, then shift your perspective to see that which you want in life.
Yeah. Well, would also like to add, because at a certain perspective, at a certain point, you know, it only can make so much sense before the question becomes, wow, how do you begin to shift? How do you begin to make those changes? Again, if it resonates that these experiences, some of the experiences that we have are unpleasant, especially for those that tend to be cyclical, hey, cycle after cycle, season after season, the same shiggity be happening. You say, well, why this shiggity keep happening over and over and over and over again? Well, again, from the law of correspondence perspective, it's something that's on the inside that's attracting this. But then how we begin to understand what is that? Well, one thing is self-reflection, by understanding if it is so, opening up in your quiet space, your meditation to why is it so? Why is it so? And just sharing, because this is part of my personal, regimen, lifestyle, habit, flow. This is what it does on a daily basis and nightly basis. It really looks to look at the experiences. And as it looks at the experiences and open up there, especially again, the more challenging experience, because we're in the season of resolving all dichotomies, harmonize with my person within so much so that the outside experiences are harmonious. So by identifying, looking at opening up to the experience as what was the cause, the trigger, what's the lesson here, then the insight will come towards that. So I just wanted to just speak on that for a little bit.
Right, you really like just reflection, and sometimes the reflection and going in really requires you to look at who you've chosen to be in company with. You know, my grandmother used to say, you want to know who you are? Look and see who you with. And I used to laugh and laugh every time she say that. And then today, I sit with that. Who am I with? Who am I spending a lot of time with? What are their behaviors? What are the things that they do? What do I have in common with those behaviors? And there are some things that I might look at me, I don't like that they do that. I don't like that they do that. And the more closely I look at their behavior, I began to look at my own responses to people or to events or to actions. And I would find that that same thing that I saw in someone else and said, I don't like that they do that. Guess what? I have to do that too. And so if I do that, then it means I am not looking enough at self. When I look outside of self and say, oh, I don't like this. Well, I don't like that they do that, you know, because I'm not looking at where it is, where it lines up to whatever it is that I have going on with self. I might not want somebody to be, you know, smart mouth, short tongue, quick wit in a conversation. I might feel some kind of way. But then I look at who I may talk to, who I may feel like is subjugated to me in some way, and how I would speak to them, and realize that's a practice. And so, having come to the understanding that that has been my practice for many years, I am in the place now where I am choosing to not speak in a lot of spaces and just be quiet. And then speak in spaces that talk about whatever it is that I'm working on to move me to the next level, opposed to spending all of my energy on what I didn't like or whatever this is wrong, you know. Then the conversation becomes, you know, I used to lie a lot. So I am spending time thinking about my words before I speak. You know, that's a real space, a place to work and move into new energies, because those lies have a lot of creations. And those creations may not necessarily be what I want, but sometimes those lies created some things that I did want. Point in case being, when I was first starting work with domestic violence, and as a survivor of domestic violence, I became a serious advocate for ending domestic violence. And I was in this long congregation of people that were, where it was at a big dinner, and it cost a whole lot of money. And when I spoke, because they wanted me to speak as a victim, I spoke and said, you know, I was out trying to get housing, and I had taken money out my pockets and put people into motels and hotels and things to hold them over until I could get them some government housing or something for domestic violence. And all of this money, because the plates were like something like $300 or $500 a plate for the dinner that we were at. All of this money that we just spent to have this big party would have been so beneficial. And imagine how many women could be helped per $500. And this is a room at least 200 people, you know, in there at $500 a plate. How many people could have been benefited from that? To then have them give me money. And while I was sharing, I mentioned, you know, Precious LLC is doing X, Y, and Z to take care of these victims. But at the time, Precious LLC did not exist. I did not formally go and do the paperwork and everything to put together Precious LLC. But at the end of the day, I had all of these checks written out and all of these large amounts of money to Precious LLC. Well, I took that lie and went and opened up Precious LLC and was able to utilize those funds and then start to do more of what I already had in place that I was doing. And so the creation of that lie had a positive effect for me. But what if someone had pulled me or called me out on that? You know, What's the IEN number? I wouldn't have been able to give them that information because at the time it did not exist. And so we can move and create and do things in whatever space we're in. And it may seem beneficial or it may seem to a disadvantage, but you got to know who you are, what you're doing, and how you operate, and your intent in all the ways you move so that you get the results you want. Some people's results isn't necessarily something uplifting. As a chef, speaks to all the time, the free will means if you want to operate and move in darkness, then you have the free will to do that, to operate and move in darkness. I have experienced myself, even in dark moments, where I would get upset and I would say some things, and some negative or adverse effects to that come out of that, where it was not pleasurable for others. And even in having done that, sometimes I felt like, good, you got what you deserve. But all of the time, at the end of the day, there will be some sadness when I go back and sit and reflect in those movements, in those moments, and feel like, I wonder if, or what if, I wish. And all of those things, if we are more intentional and not so quick to anger and not so fast to retort in speech, but if we sit with it for a moment, we can get a more pleasurable outcome or something that at the end of the day, I feel pretty good about that choice. I feel pretty good about that decision. I saw that this happened and I saw that that happened. And in the moment, it might not have seemed most pleasurable. In a moment, it might not have been a selected path. But I see the good of that path, because I was able to sit with it. And as I get older, that becomes more my mode. Sit with it a moment. Think about it. Be intentional. Be intentional in all my things. Be intentional in all my thoughts. Be intentional in all my speech. Be intentional in all my being. How do I present myself? How do I show up? And what is my purpose? Went to football training yesterday. And I wore these gym shorts, but I had one of these long t-shirts on that had the whole bottom cut up. And so it's like real stringy at the bottom, Cute. But when I came on the court, and I had on my white Kango hat, when I came onto the field, the other football officials began making jokes about my glamorous presence. Then I was late. Getting there. So I walk in, and he's like, and you come in with this present, like you thought you were walking on a Hollywood set the way you came in. Hey, y'all, and they were joking. But we went through the training, and at the end of the day, one of the officials, one of the older officials, came to me and said, you came on a football field in all white. He said, that's one thing. But the second thing is, then you got these strings all over your shirt. I could have been entangled. Somebody else could have gotten all caught up and tangled up and twisted in my shirt, working with me, because I didn't have the proper clothing on for the football field. So me being, quick in a moment, said, well, you said come comfortable. Today I'm comfortable. And he was like, but was your comfort reasonable? So when we are being intentional in our decisions, because I intently chose that outfit, was I thinking within reason of what the task was at hand? It's doable. There wasn't an actual football game on the line, but the takeaway from that is, but always move and operate as if this is the moment that you are expected to arrive or show up or be present or produce, because every moment is a moment that we are expected to produce, arrive, and be present. We may think, oh, it's just rehearsal. But if I was on stage doing a rehearsal for a show, I'm going to do all of the things that I need to do. I'm not just marking, I'm going through the paces so that what I am used to practicing, even in my thoughts, what I am practicing, manifest in the reality of the production of what's happening when I need it to happen. So if I'm thinking and practicing or putting myself in a way that is not at full par, that is not doing all of what I need to do, when I am looking to produce, because I have practiced not being being the greatest at it, I will produce not being the greatest. What are your intents? What is it that you're looking to produce? In this whole correspondence, you get what you put in. And when we were first learning about computers and programming, there was this big thing, GIGO. You put garbage in, you get garbage out. That means whatever flow charts or whatever thing you were working on to create in the computer is only going to produce what you tell it to produce, you know. So now we got smartphones and a whole plethora of things that we didn't have when we started in the whole computer era and the learning of eras. Like most of the things that I used to have to program, I can just say, hey Siri. Siri does it. Hey Siri, set such and such time for me. Set an alarm for this time. I don't have to go in and program times for alarms anymore. Siri just does it. But the same way we could see that in artificial intelligence, that's the same way things flow within ourselves. Hey, breakfast, be happy. And then I can be happy because I spoke it, I thought it, I decided upon being happy. Or I could be like, hey, precious, be depressed. I don't have the house. I don't have the Lexus. I don't have this. And I'll be there because I thought it. I spoke it. I created it. What is it that you really want? What is most important? Today it is, hey, precious, be connected to the one. Hey, precious, be the best that you could be in every moment. Hey, precious, shed love, spread love, be love. Those are the conversations I had today. I was playing the sound bowls earlier before we came online. And while I was playing the bowls, I had felt, I don't know, some discomfort in my joy center. And I was thinking, well, what is this? Because all is well. You know, a chef was asking me earlier when we were coming in, are you okay? He's like, you're making grimace sounds as if something is wrong. And I looked at him a little taken aback because I'm like, all is well. I'm not even in pain. All is well. But while playing, I could feel the disturbance. And I was like, there's something being emitted that you were tapping into that on whatever level, for whatever reason, I wasn't tapping into it myself. And as I began to play the bowls, particularly the heart chakra and the root chakra and the crown, I was feeling energetic change within myself. And so I just, put a lot more energy into those particular bowls. And the more I gave energy to that, the lighter I began to just feel in my own space. And so I'm not certain what it was that I was carrying, but I do know just in that space, I felt light, I felt love, I felt like I gave whatever it was, that energy out, away, and transmuted it into something light and love. And that's the space I choose to be. That's the correspondence that I am looking for in life. I've had a whole bunch of things to complain about. And now I'm looking at those same areas of complaint and seeing all of the benefits instead of seeing all of the things to complain. correspondence. That's a powerful thing, you know. We started with last week, the mentalism. And the mentalism is what we create from. And the reaction to those mentalisms is the correspondence. So it's like you can't have one without the other. And I'm certain as we go through all of the principles, we will see that they are all interrelated and that we are all connected to the all. And that whatever aspects we are producing, it's really of our own thoughts.
Gotcha. So Precious Mother Love chimed in a few times, and like the third time was a charm on sharing the post or the thoughts. It says, thank you both for sharing this in web world. Even if I'm not in the house with you, the world becomes the house that we are in together. LOL. The big house in the sky on earth. Heaven, one love. All right, that's that. Yeah. And just to add, a little more weight to the significance of what your person spoke about a few minutes ago. My person sums up, says birds of a feather flock together. As in those who you're around, they tend to be reflections of you. And the closer that you are to individuals, my person says, like I say, the closer that reflection is. So whatever that looks like, just be mindful. And this goes as a reminder along with the as above, so below. Especially even those things that are wonderful. Because sometimes we be like, oh, you do this so well, you're so good at this, you're so good at that. Well, we're good at certain aspects of those things as well. And the same thing is, oh, why you keep doing this? Why you do that? Because we do some aspect of those things as well. My person using the word aspect because correspondence is also as above, so below at the same time, which implies what appears in physical may look different in the spiritual, but yet it is a correspondence. So this is again why it can be challenging at times to see, especially those that we're close with. Not necessarily talking about biological family, but just those we're close with, whether it be biological family, spiritual family, co-workers, friends, just those who we choose to hang out with, who we choose to spend time with. Because we choose to spend time with, that in and of itself says something about who they are. So, and because we spend time with them, it also says something about who we are at the same time, the law of correspondence. We choose to spend time with them because there's something that resonates. This is that law of attraction. We're attracted to something about them. And even those things that may be challenging to see, again, whether it be, oh, you do this so well, when you do this, when you do that, oh, it's so wonderful. Or sometimes you do this and it really rubs me the wrong way, Both of those are still, there's a spiritual component to those that's tied in to the way you put your swag on, your drip on it, you finesse it in a sense, because just like jazz or any type of music with being creative, say there's nothing new under the sun. It's how we choose to organize it. Even when it comes down to electrons, protons, and neutrons, you can think there's something that has never been invented before, but we just simply arrange the protons and electrons in a certain way to get these molecules to do certain things, but they still the same. Electrons been around for eons. So again, just wanted to, just add that caveat again, just to share from my personal perspective, the importance of looking at those who you're closest with, looking at them as reflections, because my person finds that it enhances the learning experience of self. It really to say, we do that, we act that way. Oh, we got that too. And as we just open up to it, we may not see it now, but again, as we open up to it and believe it and trust it to be so, it's just a matter of time before we get the insight. Like, oh, I do that. Oh, I do. Oh, my person does it this way. Oh, my person does it this way. Didn't see it. it has happened so much in my person's incarnation as far as just studying itself outside of itself. So just again, just want to ask and wait to that from a personal experience, child. Keep looking at yourself outside yourself and stay open to yourself and how you're doing this thing, because there's a lot of lessons and blessings to be gained from that perspective.
Like when you're able to see yourself and see things that may not produce what you would like to be as a representative of yourself, and you begin to work on self to make those changes, you will find that those changes start happening outside of you and around you as well, which may look like maybe your best friend that you were hanging with for all of these years, you guys don't hang out together so much anymore. You know, you may see each other now and then, you know, or now it gets to a place where you see somebody, hey, in passing, you know, because you have begun to line up to the spirit in your purpose. And your purpose may not have looked like what you were doing in the beginning. It's part of the process, but it's not the ultimate purpose. The ultimate goal is not the end game. And so those persons or those things that you were involved with earlier on, you know, were just part of the process. There were some lessons and things that we came here to learn. And once we complete those lessons and fulfill the lessons that we came here to learn, we then go to another realm. We then go to the next state. We then go to our next space of being, you know, whatever that looks like. There's always constant movement. Or there's constant stagnation, which in itself is a movement of the choice to not move. How do you want it to materialize? What is it that you're corresponding? It's about choices. It's about that mentalism. It's about that purpose. It's about all of these things. Constantly, all day. You know, time is relative because depending upon what realm and what space you're operating in, you know, yesterday, today, forevermore. What are you doing in the moment? That's the best thing that I could say look at. Instead of looking to tomorrow, instead of looking to what are you doing in the moment? And where do you want that moment to take you? You know, I can't change anything I did yesterday, but I can make great choices
Okay. We'll just say okay. Sounds okay. All right. So yeah, well, with that being said, feel free to chime in, anyone who's online as we prepare now for our integration and announcement. So, closing thoughts. Would like to share about the Temple of Mother Earth once again. You're at 2415 32nd Street Southeast. That's where we are sharing from live and person. Again, feel free to join us on any given Sunday, except for we put it out, we're not going to be here. Other than that, pretty much every Sunday. And again, if you arrive before 11 a.m., then there's the opportunity to experience the sound bath, the sound meditation, the sound bowl, the sound healing. So, which is a different experience than the discussion part with the drumming. Somewhat the yin and the yang, a different flow to the experience. And also, we'll be having more of the gateway experience here as well. We're looking to have on the 30th of August an in-person gateway meditation. And there's some things being discussed for the 2nd and 4th, well, the 2nd and 3rd of August as well. Nonetheless, something more, just stay tuned to the social media platforms because we'll be sure to post and also catch the Indigenous Time newsletter because that will be in circulation as well, which should have the events and whatever else is going on in the I.C.U community. Yes. Yeah, just a reminder as we begin to speak more about who we are. We are it. We are it. We are it. We are it. You're it. Those of us who resonate with the it. The it, baby. We are it. So yeah, just stay tuned with that, and look forward to seeing you in person and sooner than later.
Sure.
I say, yo. And also with the announcements, my person will not be partaking in the sacrament day, as it is, we'll be preparing for a purge. Beloved King James, one of the uh, partners of the, facilitators of Temple of Mother Earth, owners, if you will, or caretakers, have extended the opportunity to share with my person the sacred plant medicine of the mystery frog, the sacred frog, something called Kambo, Kambo. It's a process of interacting with certain natures of the frog that allows for the purging of the organs. So with that, my person is fasting from alcohol and, food and other things. So I also want to suggest that for those who are interested, may have heard of Kambo or do your research about Kambo, and it's open to experiencing another form of detox and releasing, with the cellular level, with the organs themselves. Feel free to reach out to Temple of Mother Earth, my person, King James, and that can be arranged. So just wanted to share with that. All right, and there's nothing else on the line. So if all hearts and minds is clear, we now take this time to again celebrate our communion and the integration of the information that was shared out loud, as well as those thoughts, inspirations, the uploads that may have come during the course of the experience. We want to integrate all at this moment symbolically. We do this as we simply say, right on, amen, and ache.
Yeah.
So, yo, give it thanks. Yes.
See you next draw.
That's right. And we give thanks to close the portal to all those unseen beings that is here assisting us. Until we call upon you again in such a way, we bid you adieu. Say good day, right on, amen, and ache.